Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Creator to Creators Today. Today we have a special guest,
Aaron Mento.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I know you and I know of your work, and you're a talented writer, director. You've done a lot of amazing projects and things in your life, but I always wonder, like, you know, from the beginning, how, like, your childhood, what was that like, and how did you find yourself in the film world?
Yeah, I was kind of like a little bit of an outsider as a kid. We moved from New Jersey when I was kind of young to San Diego. So I was pretty young, fourth grade or something like that. So it was a little hard to make friends, a little hard to fit in. And yeah, my parents, they recorded a bunch of movies off HBO, like 3 to a tape on a VHS. And we moved from Jersey to New York, and in New York we didn't have cable, so all I would do was watch all of the HBO movies that were recorded over and over and over, and those kind of stamped on me that that's what I wanted to do, because my parents, they let me watch pretty much anything they recorded. So there'd be R-rated stuff, there'd be kids stuff, it'd all be mixed together on the tape. It would go from like Howard the Duck to like Aliens, Little Shop of Horrors, like, and it was just, and all the stuff they recorded just happened to be super creative, fun, a lot of it horror stuff. So that definitely imprinted horror and kind of a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek campiness, which I like as well, from those movies. Not Aliens, but like Howard the Duck and Little Shop of Horrors. And so yeah, that was kind of like my comfort, was watching those movies over and over again.
Yeah.
And movies always spoke to me, creativity, and just the fun you can have just on your own, just watching something. Like I would just marathon movies by myself, and that was awesome. If I didn't have friends or something, or if there wasn't anybody around, like I felt like I was all good, you know. It's a little bit harder now, I'm sure, as you found, to like marathon movies or something like that, because you have your phone and you kind of get distracted. I'm so grateful I didn't have that stuff back then, so I could really kind of just commit and get lost in like just a marathon of movies.
I love that.
Yeah, like I remember one day I was like, I'm just gonna watch all the Mad Max movies, and like I would just watch Mad Max, Road Warrior, and Thunderdome. This is before there was Fury Road. Just like, and you would just do it. I just sit there and watch them. I wouldn't be tweeting about them. I wouldn't be like thinking how I'm gonna like share this with. That was just like my happy place. So yeah.
And that's when it just kind of like was born. Did you like, I mean, I guess as time went on, when did you were like, okay, I want to do this?
Another thing that I would do is I loved introducing movies to people.
Yeah.
Like almost like curating them for like sleepovers and stuff like that. So I would have like friends come over and I would show them like crazy horror stuff. I got all like the Fulci stuff, the Argento stuff. I had this huge, so I'd bring like some nice kid over and I'd show them like all the Evil Dead movies and a zombie, and then we'd fly over to Bad Lieutenant, and just, like, the kid would leave just being like,
oh my God.
I feel like I just wanted to give audiences that feeling. Like, I just love the feeling of just like showing people things that hopefully give them such a great time they didn't know existed before, but just like, they're just different afterwards. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think that was a big part of it too.
I love that you were having like you were like, all right, tickets are $5 to get in. No, just kidding.
Their parents had no idea what they were watching. We were like, I had those movies on tape when I was very young. Like I was stuff. So I went to Suncoast and I bought like the NC-17 Crash. I bought stuff and they didn't care. They were just like, yeah, you can buy that. Friends would come over and like some of these friends had never seen an R-rated movie before. So they were like, whoa, what is happening? So that gave me a thrill for sure.
when did you start like, okay, I'm going to get into writing, or even just creating something has to do with, like, when did you start, or when did you like make that transition to like making things?
I started making stuff, which is for people who've never used it before, it's a smaller kind of tape. We would have to make projects for high school class. So like, I would use that as an opportunity to make like videos and and I get in trouble a lot at school because I made them really gory. I was afraid I was going to get expelled at one point. There was this one I had to make about Julius Caesar, and we did it in my backyard, and I had everybody stab me to death. And like, it was like disgusting. We showed in class, and the teacher shut off as I was getting stomped to death by these people, swimming pool. She said, disgusting. And then just moved on to the next person, didn't say anything. I don't know how I got through high school without getting expelled, but I made a bunch of videos like that were way extreme. So
you're like the Rob Zombie in high school.
I guess so. It was shaky. I think I was worried for a little bit, and so were my parents, that I wasn't gonna make it through because I just couldn't help myself doing that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, I think to be artistic, you have to be a little on the wild side, to be very, very talented. You got to be kind of on the spectrum, which is, I think, sure. I think I am too. I think people that are artists, we kind of are to go there.
Sure. Yeah. You have to have some sort of a vibe if you like discomfort, and you like kind of like the feeling that you're going to get in trouble.
Like, I know, like, for me, like, my journey was, like, just trying to, like, just creating, and then, someone gave me a chance and was like, hey, and then it was, I started doing music videos, and then I kind of, I did short films when I was younger, but my actual, like, first real job was music videos. And then, after that, I got into films. What was like, all right, I'm going to make a feature. Like, what was how old were you? Why did you want to make a feature? And what prompts you to do it?
Yeah. What my first feature was a movie called Standards of Living. And what made me make that was I actually had a full-time job at that point out of college doing SEO, which is search engine optimization, just writing copy for companies to try and get their keywords to show up. Yeah. Not really my thing. But it was, but the pay was good. And but then one day, as I was working there, it was a nice place with nice people and everything, but I was looking at grids all day, like Excel spreadsheets, and my left eye just like shut off as I was looking at these spreadsheets, and I just felt like I couldn't see out of it for maybe 5 minutes. I went outside.
Wow.
I looked at license plates and I could see the letters and numbers on the sides, but I couldn't read the ones in the middle with this eye. And then eventually just like came back. But that scared me so much at that point I was trying to shop screenplays around, and I was like, I need to start making movies now. Yeah. I was like really scared. I went to all these doctors. I was afraid I had like a brain tumor or something like that. And they actually ended up being was an ocular migraine in my eye, which is what happened was I changed my caffeine intake. I was cutting down, and when you cut your caffeine down and you strain your eyes, you can actually have an ocular migraine. It's like a headache in your eye. Wow. And so anyways, I named my production company Ocular Migraine because of that. Yeah. And so I wanted to make a movie. So I wrote a script really quick for some folks that I knew would be interested in doing it. And I wrote it for the only camera I had, which was an iPad. So I shot the whole thing on an iPad. Yeah, it was the first movie ever shot on a tablet, which was kind of fun. We got in Mac Life magazine and stuff like that. We got some press for it. Yeah. But yeah, it was just kind of no turning back after that. It was just just do it. Don't just try and greenlight yourself, and just try and make it a budget that's manageable, that isn't going to break the bank.
And just do it. I love that. I love that. I mean, I think half the journey and being an artist or creating or being in this industry is just doing it. Is just getting it done. I think a lot of people were so worried about. I get it, budget. I get it. I understand but when you're creating art, it's like most people don't ever finish projects, and it's like,
Yeah.
So that's kudos to you getting it done.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Thank you. Well, to you as well, because you've made a lot of great stuff too. It's just all part of the grind, trying to make something a lot of times out of nothing in terms of money, but we do it because we love it,
Yes, exactly. And I get it. It's one of those things. This business is very. I like to talk to people that like yourself and people that are in the industry, and there's always going to be struggle. There's always going to be some type of, like I said, budget or finding the money, the resources to, the actors, getting everyone and, like, let's shoot, let's getting the dates down. How do you, like, has there been any, like, hard times of, like, creating any of your projects that were like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to shoot this or get this done? Were there any struggles for you in the journey?
Oh yeah. For Ugly Sweater Party, which is maybe the movie that I'm most known for, which is a holiday horror comedy about a killer Christmas sweater. We shot that in Idlewild out in the woods, and that was hard. And there was a day where we had to do 25 pages. It was budget wise, it was a SAG project. I don't know why we're doing SAG at this level, and just so happened that the only thing we could afford for our big party crowd scenes was one day of shooting with everybody who was going to be there for those scenes. So it was kind of like, okay, we have 25 pages to get through today. We can't afford them to come for another day. And then also we had problems with the night before. There was a technical issue with the stuff we shot the day before. That in the morning, it was hard, but we got through it. We just barreled through it. Everybody was on their game.
That's great.
You have to get to a certain Zen level where it's just like failure is not an option. It's like the movie won't work unless we do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and everybody's just like, let's do it. And it's that feeling when everything's working though, when everybody knows the stakes and the clock, and we're all trying to beat the clock, and you make it. It's like, it was like exhilarating. So hard, but it was so exhilarating.
That's awesome. But like you said, it was exhilarating, but it felt good, I'm sure, to see, like, it's like when you put on a project and you get like, oh, we love it. And you're like, oh my God, you have no idea. Like, what is making this movie happen? Only, people see the nice present with the bow on top package, and
people would have no idea how much that movie was shot in a day, or maybe they will. It was wild.
I'm curious, as a writer, director, how do you, like, what inspires you? What like when you want to make something, like, I mean, is it just life? How do you get into the writing zone of, like, I want to do something, I want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure you've done the same thing where you start a script or you start a treatment, and then, like, you work through it, and then maybe even you figure it out. Maybe you figure out, like, what it is, but then you just kind of are like, I figured it out, but I don't really want to make it. Like, kind of put it aside because you know how long it takes to go through the process. And so there's a lot of, it's like, it's got to connect in a way where I'm like, I personally want to see it so much myself that, like, I have to make it. And like, there's so many projects that I kind of like, I start in the writing process and I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I want to see it as much. And even if I think that it would be very successful or whatever, if it's just not hitting that, whatever that sixth sense is, where it's like, I want to watch this, like, more than anybody else, then I'll put it aside. So it has to be something that, like, I need to bring into existence, for selfish reasons, maybe just because I want to see it, or I want to see an audience see it, or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it has to have that kind of X factor for me, where it's just kind of like, it doesn't feel too middle of the road. It needs to be all in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, that's good. No, I'm always curious about, like, director writers, like, process, because I mean, there's so many. I've been on this kick now. I've been watching the show called Severance. It's on Apple TV. Is it Adam Scott? I think it's directed by Ben Stiller, actually.
Yeah, I saw the poster for it. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my God!
I heard it was good. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's good. It's very good. It's very, like, weird and oddly just the first episode just kind of sucks you in and you just want to like, I mean, I didn't know Ben Stiller was such a great director. He's really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And Adam Scott, I mean, a fantastic actor, you know, obviously, but
yeah, he's good. Have you ever seen, did you ever see the Ben Stiller show? I think it was in the 90s. He had his own sketch comedy show, a season or half a season or something. It got canceled really quick, but
no, I never seen it.
Ben Stiller, Janine Garofalo, Andy Dick, other people were like the cast, and they did some really weird, interesting sketches. So he's always had like a really interesting point of view as a creator, you know? And so it's so cool that he's kind of like been making movies now, because that was like, I watched that show and I thought it was so funny and it got canceled and I was so mad. And, you know, but he didn't let that stop him. Like he's making stuff now. So I highly recommend it though. There's some great sketches in there. He does this thing where he plays Bruce Springsteen, and it's Legends of Springsteen, because there's all these like tall tales of Bruce Springsteen, like playing like, you know, huge concert and then showing up at a dive bar afterwards and playing like another concert. Springsteen comes in, sings for the club, but then he also cleans up. It's amazing. Yeah,
I definitely got to check it out. Yeah, I definitely gotta check it out. But definitely check out Severance if you like a thriller type of kind of. It kind of reminds me. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Ozark. The kind of feeling like it's very like you're on the edge of your seat. Like you want to know what is going on. Like I'm 6 episodes in and I have no idea. Like I know I have a clue what's happening to the people, the characters, but I'm just not sure the bigger picture. There's like something else. I'm like, oh, but what is it? Come on. There's like 3 episodes left. So
mysterious. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I don't want to like give it away, but
yeah, no, I'm interested. Yeah, you got me on the hook. I'm there.
Definitely.
Check it out.
What's as a creator, what is your, do you have like, you know, you hear people say, well, you have to have something, you have to have like a message to tell, you know, as a creator, you know, you have to have like some type of clear direction of what you want to talk about. Because I mean, as we create and get older, it turns from entertaining to, for me, I'm in this kind of space now where I'm like, I love to entertain. It's great. And I love making a great movie and it's fun. It's horror, but I also want to put like a really, some information in there, like some consciousness and like some, you know, where you leave like, okay, that was interesting. All right. Like for you, has that been the case, or has it just changed over time into that, morphed into that?
Yeah, I'd say that's baked into everything I do. And sometimes I don't realize it until when I'm making it, what the message is that I'm kind of exploring, I guess. Yeah. I like more exploring stuff versus necessarily like coming up with the answers. So I would say I explore a lot of like issues of masculinity and what that means. Mm-hmm. That's always been really interesting to me. And I don't necessarily mean to do that, but I find myself, that's what this is kind of about. You know what I mean? Like exploring these things. So yeah, I definitely think like, I think there's a part of me that like, is like, I just want to make like a splatter movie with just like effects and just fun. And like, that sounds great. But then there's more that always has to come into it that just as I'm writing it, just, I can't sustain. I can watch like that and I love stuff like that. Yeah. But as writing and creating, I can't sustain something unless there's something a little more to it for me. Just because it's just work, and like you needs to have that heart to it of something that if not a message, it has something that I'm exploring, that is, I'm working things out like on another level, you know what I mean, with it. Yeah. So I definitely find that. I try not to, I've made the mistake of trying to write some stuff with the message first, and then I kind of lose my way, and I kind of feel like, this feels like too preachy. It just feels like something's kind of lost in translation here. So I'll go back and I'll kind of like, I'll try not to lead too much with that. I think some filmmakers can do that very well. I find it hard to lead with a message with what I'm doing. More like it's in there, but it's almost like you got to kind of look for it a little.
Gotcha. I see. I love that. I love those like those Easter eggs where you're like, oh, well, I didn't know that's. You got to kind of if you watch it again, it's like, oh, I pick up on this, and I love films like that. I love watching, and it's like it's like a conscious. So I'm not trying to put people down, and I'm not a person that put people down, but I watched Tyler Perry's Medea on Netflix, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And yes, it's there for entertainment. I get it. It's a laugh, but for me, I think I'm over the like. He creates for a certain audience, and that's his moneymaker. And that's I don't knock it. I don't knock that he has an audience, but and I know a lot of actor friends who've worked with him and actually currently on his show working with him, and they're it's they're being paid. It's great money, but to me it's not about the money. It's about we're put in a position, I think, to create something on a higher consciousness, or maybe not. It has to be so high up, but just enough to where it's like it's interesting, it's different, and then you'll learn a little bit. Versus, I think that the film when I watched it, I only watched it because people are like, "Oh, it's so funny! It's #1 on Netflix." It was trending for a couple weeks. It was #1 on Netflix, and I was like, okay, "What's the deal?" So I watched it, and I just was like, "This is it." It puts. And maybe I'm a little bit of a harsh critic because I feel like, to me, it puts a certain demographic in a box.
Okay.
Of people, like a race, a culture, and it makes you kind of think, well, subconsciously, that's how we all are, the whole narrative. And I'm just like, no, that's not it at all. Yeah, I can appreciate a laugh, but to me, I feel like it's very damaging to perpetuate a stereotype when you're supposed to be someone who wants to help push the narrative forward versus bring it back. But hey, that's just my point of view. But I just, as a creator, I want to try to stay away from that.
Sure. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And like, I find him very interesting as an actor. I think he was in Gone Girl, Fincher one. Yeah. And it's like, I find him very interesting when he's kind of out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of like he was kind of like pulling the strings of the media and trying to like and like, it was interesting seeing him play something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would like him to do more stuff like that. Like, I'm actually super talented. When he's kind of like out of, like, he's obviously, that's the comfort zone. That's where the money is. That's where the audience is. But it's kind of like, I hope he goes and takes some more chances outside of that, because it's so interesting. I think he's very interesting like that. I just kind of, there are some movies that maybe just aren't for me, for other people, or other audiences. Sometimes like faith-based movies or, movies that go one way or another. They have their own audience and maybe they don't speak to me. Maybe some of the stuff that I watch, other people would be like, this is crap. Like, why are you watching this? Like, this is not for me, but yeah, you kind of hope that like there'll be something that crosses over that like brings in everybody or brings in, and that's kind of exciting, and maybe that'll still come, but some of the stuff I watch, I know that people don't like, like for sure. And some stuff that's super popular, I don't necessarily like, but there's nothing wrong with that. What I mean? It's like, everything's not for everybody,
I agree with that. But do you think there's a sense of responsibility that we have as creators to, I mean, if we're trying to change the way the industry is, and no one's pulling or twisting our arms to do anything. We're not like held captive. We're just doing this on our own,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, I do think that there is a responsibility, especially if you have a lot of money and influence, and if you have an audience. I think I don't want to say that we're like responsible for like messaging and stuff like that, but I do think that, with creative freedom, you can break outside of things that are expected of you. So, like if I made movies where, I don't know, something gross happens to some guy over and over and over again, that's how I make my money.
Right.
And I just become super rich from that. I could just keep making those movies, or you can start to expand a little bit, or you can stay in that comfort zone, which is not what I'm saying what he's doing, but just because I make kind of gross kind of stuff every now and then, I'm using that as kind of a comparison. But I think what I miss in terms of especially Black filmmakers is the 90s, when there was this explosion of voices that were so just incredible, and just there was just this freedom. And I grew up watching all of that. I mean, that was just normal. I grew up watching New Jack City, Kids, Boomerang, all the Hughes Brothers stuff, all John Singleton stuff. And that was just normal. It was just awesome. And it was normal, and it was great. And it was like this fresh voices, and they felt like they were playing with fire a little bit, you know what I mean? And that was really interesting. And I feel like what's weird in our society now is that I think a lot of people forget that happened. That I know they're playing New Jack City and Westwood again now. And
are they?
There's this retrospective. I really want to go see it.
Nice.
Mario Van Peebles is going to be there too, I believe.
Oh, I love him. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool, right? It's so cool. But that's what's so weird is that I feel like when we don't, and I'm not like a weird cinephile where we almost know all movies. When we don't remember or address the fact that there already are and were powerful female filmmakers, powerful Black filmmakers who've made amazing movies. If we don't address that and keep that in our consciousness, then every victory that's fresh is we've done that already. We need to move it forward.
There we go.
You know what I mean?
There we go.
That's where I have a problem, where it's the media is celebrating
the first.
It's the first this. I remember when Black Panther came out, I saw, I don't know how many stories about this is the first time there's been a Black superhero.
Right. No.
What are you talking about? You that's not accurate. You know what I mean? It's great that now maybe it's the first one with a cast that was all predominantly African American, and there's all these people in and of color. But the way they were saying it was they were dismissing all these other things that have already happened. Yeah. And so if we keep doing that, then every time something comes up that doesn't move as far as it should, we celebrate it as the first. And that irritates me.
Same, you know what I mean? Same. I'm can we stop saying the first? Because honestly, that is not accurate. Definitely not accurate. It
may be accurate in the comics. Maybe in the comics that was the first. I'm not sure. I don't know the history of comics that well. But in movies, I know what they were talking about were movies. It was I was just it was crazy. It was just and just because it didn't set the world on fire doesn't mean it didn't exist.
Right.
You know what I mean? We need to stop dismissing these things that aren't runaway successes. So just because obviously the Blade movies, that's a superhero.
That's a superhero.
Right? And it was a huge success in there. At least the first two were great. I know the third one has
it's iffy plot holes.
1 and 2. Come on. But Michael B. Jordan, he played the Torch in the Fantastic Four movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Nobody liked the movie, but he still was in it as a Black superhero. So we don't and then Halle Berry was Storm.
And Catwoman, I think, too.
Catwoman, exactly. Yeah. And so it's just because it's those don't matter. It's let's keep moving. Let's keep celebrating things, but let's keep filmmakers accountable and keep studios accountable for, you don't get an applause just for doing a little bit more of what we've done.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's my problem. It's just growing up watching all these amazing Black filmmakers and women filmmakers, especially in the 90s, and now we're patting ourselves in the back when a woman gets to direct a movie, and I'm that's not enough. You know what I mean? It's women have been directing movies, it's just what, and they've directed huge movies. I don't know. I get it gets weird to me, and I don't know how younger viewers see it. I don't know if younger viewers watch stuff from the 90s, or
Right.
they mostly just, and I don't know if they are being misled into thinking we're not as far as we should be. We've actually taken many steps backwards, in my opinion, from where we were in the 90s. Yeah.
Do you think it's more censored now? Like, do you think that the industry is more like, you know what, with the whole Me Too movement that came out and all the stuff that comes out and all these women are like, yeah, we sent, the you guys, and we're gonna wear all black to stand up. It's like,
sure.
What are we doing? Like, let's just fire the people and let's keep going. Let's just go.
Exactly.
They make this.
And a lot of people have made the point of, some people can hire female directors. You know what I mean? Like some huge celebrities who are like, this is outrageous that there's no, and it's like, well, you've got money, make a movie and hire a female director then,
Exactly.
and you star in it and you'll bring in the money. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know it's not as easy as that. I know that's kind of a simplification. I know like Samuel L. Jackson, for instance, is coming out with this new movie that apparently took years to get made.
I heard about that. Yeah. Like he sold it and he had to buy it back and then wait. And it's like, oh my God.
I don't know the exact story, but I know that he said it was a long journey to get this. And you're like, Samuel L. Jackson took a long time to get a movie made. So I know that's a simplification, but I also think that if we're able to somehow re-embrace these mid-budget movies, make anymore, or these lower budget movies, then more voices can be heard. We don't have to tick off all these boxes to appeal to everybody in the world. We're selling everything that could ever offend anybody, like Dawn, so it's like this broad appeal. Yeah. So that's, I don't know. It's just like, I just feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone sometimes. I mean, I would just watch movies and the biggest stars were Wesley Snipes, Eddie Murphy, Denzel Washington, it's like, and it's just like, but you're just like, that was where the biggest stars and who are making the most money. And now it's like, it's like we're applauding when there's a black lead now or something.
I don't understand. But they've been around forever. And I'm like, why are we applauding? Yeah, they're just an actor. Like
there needs to be more than that. You know what I mean? It's like let's not hit reset it's like we're clearing our history on our browser.
Right.
I just feel like I'll see a story tomorrow and they're like, a woman is directing a movie. Like let's give the studio like champagne. It's just like kind of what we need is a career for people who are not getting their voices heard. Not a movie, not one movie, a career. That's what we haven't done.
That's what we haven't done. And I think you're right. You hit that. That's really the big thing. And I think goes for men and women. I think people who like us, because I've done some bigger budget films. I've done some indie films, but I think there is a market for what we do, like indie films, because there's streaming, you can get your stuff out there now on different platforms and sell it. And, thank God for streaming, because streaming's great and everyone's on their phones now or tablets or whatnot. Yeah. So it's easy to get it sold. There are also some interesting films that you're like, how did that get on this, those platforms? And you're like, whoa, like I can't even hear it, but there is a demographic that looks at certain bad films or whatever. There are people that will like it. There is an audience for everything. So, it's just trying to figure out how to get your stuff seen with so much content circulating online. It's like, how do you do it? So I'm curious, how do you, when you make a film, do you have that in the back of your head, like distribution or like where's it going to live?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess it's different with each movie. With my latest movie, 16 Bits, which we crowdfunded. Yeah, it was 100% crowdfunded. We're in post-production now. Really happy with it.
Congratulations.
We're still figuring out. Thank you. Yeah, we're still figuring out. Like, we don't want to just dump it anywhere. So I think we're going to probably do a premiere for it. We're going to do some festivals. Like, what do we want to do with it? And it's kind of like, I think the trick now is to not try and make something that doesn't have any place to go.
Gotcha.
If your goal is to make money with it, especially, but like if it's low budget enough, you can make something, you have some options for it. But I know I mean, like, streaming is tricky because, like, from what I've heard, even people, I was in Clubhouse, which is, the app where you can talk and stuff. And someone was on there talking about his movie was the number one movie on Netflix, or the number one horror movie on Netflix for I don't know, let's say a week, 2 weeks. And he said he didn't get any money from that. And he said, because the deal was already made. That's awesome. And it's more for exposure.
Yeah.
So you just have to know what you're using it for, or what you want from it. You're not going to make a lot of money making something that just goes to streaming. You know what I mean? But you can get great exposure, and that can maybe get you funded for your next movie. So it's just kind of like, I think the trick is how do you compete with stuff that has a really big budget, and how do you get people to watch your stuff when there's so much content out there? And I think everybody's still trying to figure that out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy. It's one of those things. It's like, it's forever changing because there's so many. I mean, there's Peacock. There's that's a new one. I mean, there's new apps for streaming. It's like, what's happening here?
Like I just watched, I watched 1883, which is like this was freaking great. It was this prequel Western to Yellowstone, which I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen Yellowstone yet. But that's on Paramount Plus is 1883. Then Yellowstone is on like Peacock, and it's like the same series, but like they're not even on the same streaming platform.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's crazy. So you have to like get you have to purchase all these different channels, I guess, to like see everything. So yeah, it's pretty wild right now. It's pretty crazy. And then like what's also wild is you'll just like there'll be some show that you've never heard of that you'll just happen upon that's just like amazing. Just living here, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know if anybody's watching this, so right. It's really it's a strange time. And I think it's just finding out how to like recalibrate and kind of move with the times and how things are moving, because I mean I'm always trying to figure out ways to have multiple streams of income. I'm super blessed to have certain things in certain platforms, but exposure is great, but then you're like, I would love to make some money on, and then when you do make some money, it's like, oh, okay, I make some money over here. Okay, I could do this. And, and it's just trying to stay ahead of because it's just forever moving. Yeah. My big thing is, I tend to look at it more as who do I want to collaborate with? And on this journey of making projects, you kind of connect with certain people more than others.
Yeah.
You find the relationships that don't really work. And I feel like, success to me is cultivating powerful relationships with people that I really like, that we both want to we all want to put something into something, and you can rely on each other and make stuff together. And I think that is the most important part, is finding your collaborators, finding people who you can create with. And I feel like if you create with the right people, with the right vibe, that'll lead to success on its own. Like I know me and you are going to be working on something, it's kind of hush hush, right? But we're another group of filmmakers we're working with, which we can't really talk about either. Yes, but that's what's exciting, I think, is like we can't be against each other. There used to be a kind of like, maybe it's still there, where people were kind of competing with each other a lot in films and stuff like that. Find the people who are on your wavelength and you want to collaborate with. Everybody, especially with social media, is like, it's all like performance, we're always like, everything's great, and so I feel like a lot of people are trying to like live that for real. And it's like, you know what I mean? Everybody's kind of like, their guard is up and they're make it so like filmmaker life. And it's like, they're just taking a picture like on some place they don't have a permit. That's great for Instagram or whatever, but like, and I'll take fun pictures too, but real life, like be nice to people and find people who you get along with, who you want to create with. There's so much talent out there that I think sometimes you can get into trouble going like, what talent can I attach to this to like get it made? You have to go through their agent, and there's all this stuff and like all this money, and like, oh, they can show up for a day, and you're compromising the movie to get them there to sell it, and then it doesn't do anything anyway. And it's like, or you could have collaborated with this amazing actor over here who's your friend,
Exactly.
who would have done everything for this project, and you could have gone in right now,
Yeah.
So
that's half of my job at the beginning when I first started. It was like, oh, I think you're great. Cool. Like, we had a great conversation. Come on board. That's literally being a nice person. Like, being a nice person goes pretty far.
I get inspired by other people. So I usually write stuff. I mostly write stuff for people. So actors that are my friends, people I know, they inspire me and I write for them.
Yeah.
And we work together. You know what I mean? Because it's so, I guess the advice I would give any filmmakers watching this, if they care to hear any advice, would be to look around what you have available to you, look around who you already know, who do you know that you like, that's reliable, that likes you, create something that can use all those elements comfortably and go from there. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Instead of being like interior spaceship, it's like, don't do that. You don't have a spaceship. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have the money to make a spaceship, unless you're making a fun, kitschy spaceship. Interior apartment. That's where you want to be.
I love that. You just answered literally my next question was like the advice you would give, and that's great advice. I love that. That's fantastic. Are you working on anything at the moment? And where can people find you on social media to follow you in your journey and what you're doing?
I'm on social media. It's just at Aaron Mento for everything. Just AARON MENTO, and I'm easy to find. And I'm working on a few things now. Post-production on 16 bits, and I just finished writing a horror musical with my friend Honore. I'm not sure if you know him. He's a really great R&B artist.
Nice.
And he worked on Ugly Sweater Party with me. He did some music for that, and then I made a Phantasm fan trailer because I really love that series.
Nice.
I basically made a trailer of like what I would love to do with a Phantasm movie. You can search that online. It's called Phantasm Vigil Lords. But we replicated, if you know Phantasm, there's a famous song called Sitting Here at Midnight that Bill Thornberry and Reggie Bannister sing on the porch. And and Honore and my buddy Roman Kovalik, who's another amazing musician, they came together and re-recorded and performed that. So I just, I was with Honore and I was like, I want to make like a horror musical, but I want to make it so that it's more like Purple Rain, which I love. We're both huge Prince fans. So
nice.
It's like an R&B, hip hop, rock, pop, horror.
Oh, I love that.
He's starring in it. Everybody in it is musicians and singers. So I love working with people who necessarily maybe they're actors, they have some acting experience, but it's more like I'm more connected with the vibe of people. I'd rather work with someone with no experience that I like than someone who's a pro who's like a jerk. I'm like, this is gonna be a hard one, we've all been there. So he's already recorded like 8 original songs. Freaking good. Thank you. Yeah, they're bangers. They're really good. Put together the pitch deck for it. We got some, we're figuring out where we want to go with it. Like with anything. And this is another piece of advice I would give filmmakers. Create a project that can work at a number of different budgets. So it's like there's one version of this movie where it's like we're just doing it on our own. We're getting it done. Yeah. And there's another version where we have more money and it looks like this, and that's what and we can do that with it. And so if you can make something that's like a little flexible like that, you're gonna make it then. So it's like, okay, so if you don't find the money that you need to make that version, we can always make this version. The goal of that, when we were talking about it early on, is like, I want this to be people's favorite movie. Okay. I want it to be something that they want to watch all the time.
Yes. You know what I mean? Yes.
Just like what Purple Rain is for me. Like I always want to watch that movie.
Right.
So that's the goal. I want to make something that not just people are like, oh, I tolerated it for 90 minutes. It was good. I want to make something that people just absolutely just love, that they just want to keep living in over and over again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's what we all want to make deep down. We want to make something that people just want to like connect with on that level.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I've yet to find that, but I will find it. I think that's what I'm kind of like in right now, is like that, like, what is that? But so I'm just trying to, right now I'm just like, I think we all go through different type of creative phases, and we're like, sometimes we get like in like I'm still creating, but sometimes we just kind of get like stuck and we're like, okay, let's reevaluate. What am I trying to say?
Yeah. And I get there too. And then ultimately what helps me is I go, what do I want to watch? Forget it's trendy, forget about what's hot, what everybody's looking for. What do I want to watch?
Yeah.
And it's like, go make that. You know what I mean? And it's like, figure out how to make that, because it's not spending a year or two of your life making something that's trying to chase a trend that's gone by the time you finish the movie, and you're like, now it's old, I mean, and there's a lot of filmmakers that get lucky, like catch that trend perfectly, or they create a trend, but it's tough to like catch up to it and organically make something that kind of works on, unless you're doing something like really quick and really cheap that kind of cashes in,
right?
Doesn't feel good, right? You're super talented and you've got great ideas. So I think about what you want to watch and go make that, and you'll be there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you. I will. I definitely will. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us, and giving us so many gems. Like I loved listening to your story and the things that you got going on, and congratulations to everything you're working on and your success and things that are to come. Congrats to you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. This has been really, really great. Talking to other filmmakers, it keeps it alive. We can be just in our own little bubble. We got to talk to each other. We got to be vulnerable. We got to be honest about stuff, and we can help each other. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
It doesn't have to be a popularity contest, which a lot of people kind of approach it as, where they want people to like kind of hold them up on a pedestal or look up to them all the time. It's like we're all in the same playing field. Let's all just work together, be vulnerable, find who's our people, who can we work with, and if it's not work with, who can we just bounce ideas off of and just be ourselves around. And you're definitely one of those people, for sure.
Ditto. I miss you guys. I miss the Cali family. I won't say where I am right now.
Let me know when you'll be back.
Yeah.
When you get off this. And then we should totally hang out. But otherwise, we always just talk like this.
Definitely, I'm down.
Rolling like this. Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely.
More success to you and everything that you got going on. So I really appreciate it.
Right back at you.
Thank you. And thank you guys for listening. Until next time, always remember to live, love, laugh. All right, everybody. See you guys next time. Bye.